Last week on the channel, I announced that I picked up a brand new Tesla Model Y Performance, and so far I've put around 1100 kilometers, or if you're in the US, 700 miles on the vehicle, and I've got a pretty decent feel for some positives and negatives about the car. So what's it like owning this, especially coming from a gas-powered car? Well, that's what I want to share with you and hopefully help you with your decision to possibly purchase a brand new Tesla. Now, if you're interested in that, I do have my referral link in the description down below where you can get 1500 kilometers or 1000 miles free. So if you found any value in this video and you want to purchase a Tesla after watching this video with my honest opinion on the car, feel free to use that referral. Now, I want to throw out a huge disclaimer out there because I think it's fair and I think it's right to let you guys know where I'm coming from. I'm a huge Tesla stock bull. You guys know that if you've been following the channel for a while. I have been investing in Tesla for the last year and a bit. I am up over 700% of my position. It's my most successful investment by far, and I love what the company stands for and what they're doing. But despite this, despite my, can't really deny it, the bias that I have for Tesla, there are a lot of flaws that I've come across by owning this car in just the last week or so, which I do want to share publicly, and hopefully Tesla sees this and they address these issues sooner rather than later. Anyways guys, let's get into it. And remember, if you want to see more continued updates, because I will be making more updates on the ownership of this car, make sure to subscribe down below, hit that bell notification, and smash that like button as well while you're down there. Okay. Let's start off with the good because it's positive investing. Let's start off with the positives about this car. Simply put, it's amazing. The performance, unmatched. The Model Y can make 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds advertised, but people have done it in 3.4 or so, which is faster than any car I've owned before and faster than any other SUV in its class. The acceleration and overtaking is incredible and can only really be compared to a roller coaster. Yes, it's that exhilarating. No doubt there's significant cost savings with owning an electric vehicle. Obviously, because it's electric, there's no gas cost, and the cost of electricity is significantly less than gas. Also, if you're fortunate enough to live in an area that has access to free charging stations, utilize them. It's free, you can get your car charged up, and you don't have to pay anything to run that car. There's also other cost savings that come along with this, of course, maintenance, but I'm still very, very early in the ownership process to speak about that. But one other thing I can say is that insurance was surprisingly pretty affordable as well. I was expecting to be a lot more considering the cost of this car and the value of this car, but it's been pretty good so far. Now, in terms of cost, I will break down in another video exactly how I'm paying for this car, how much money it costs me, my monthly payments, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. It will be coming in a future video. So I know a lot of people are turned off by the fact that you have to charge your car every single day so that you have enough battery to drive around and not have to worry about it. And to me, that's actually a convenience factor because I can always make sure that my car has enough or full charge to go out the next day and not have to worry about stopping somewhere, wasting time charging, all that kind of stuff. Also, there's an added benefit. I'd never have to visit a gas station ever again. And that's huge, especially during these times when you want to make as little contact as possible with other people. I find it pretty ironic when I hear people saying, oh, you gotta charge it all the time. Well, yeah, you gotta do that with most of your electronics now, and I think the future is gonna be that for cars either way, whether you like it or not. So whether you adopt it today with a Tesla or in a few years with another brand, it's still gonna be the same story. You literally park your car, grab your charging cable, plug it in, and that's it. The car does everything else for you. It takes literally 10 seconds and I have no issues keeping up with that. And I don't see that being a really big hurdle for me moving forward. So this car is safe. The Model 3 was rated the safest car ever, and the Model Y is most likely in those footsteps because it is kind of based on the Model 3. The official reports are not out yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it pretty much on par with the Model 3 in terms of safety. Now for me, that was personally a very big selling factor. I wanted to make sure that my next car was safe because at the end of the day, there's no price that I can put on safety. I drive quite a bit. As you can see, I've put over 1100 kilometers in just about a week and a bit of owning the car. So yeah, I drive a lot and safety is paramount for myself. Now, security also ties in with this. So the car has built-in cameras, and because of that, you can actually have dash cam recording. So all you do is plug in a hard drive or a USB stick or whatever you want into the car, and you can have your recordings save automatically. Now, you can have the car configured where when you honk, it automatically saves that footage so it doesn't get overwritten. Or you can just, if you capture something cool, just go home and copy that off the hard drive, and then you have that footage. This is also very useful in different situations, like a hit and run, for example. Someone flees the scene of an accident. The car will capture that footage on its camera. Now, here's a quick clip. You can see this. I had recorded this last week driving home, and we captured what looks like a coyote crossing the road here, which is pretty cool. And I'm sure if it got close enough, the car would have reacted accordingly. But since it was quite a distance away, the car didn't really have to brake or do any preventative measures to avoid an accident. The other aspect with security is Sentry mode, and this one is, I think, any tech nerd out there would appreciate, because with Sentry mode, you can pretty much have the car on kind of security lockdown, and if you're not near the car, someone walks by it, touches the car, does whatever, it'll automatically start recording them from the different camera angles. Now, I believe if the car is broken into, you'll get an alert to your phone, but as of right now, you don't really get alerts for these, regular events that happen in Sentry mode. But as soon as you get back to the car, you can review the footage, and if there was something of concern, you can send that to the police, report it, make a claim, all that kind of stuff. So there's some added cool features. There are cameras around the car, and I'm glad that Tesla is utilizing that for security as well. Oh, I also want to throw in there that yes, Sentry mode does drain a little bit of battery, but I think for the added security, it's definitely worth it. Over-the-air updates, amazing. Watch Netflix and play games while you're charging or waiting for someone, amazing. Being able to tweak nearly every aspect of the car to your personal preference, amazing. Full self-driving, summon, autopilot. Well, this is where I kind of want to have a bit more discussion on. I wouldn't say that it's amazing right now. It is really good in some aspects, but in other aspects it really falls flat. Now, before we transition to the negatives, let me just say this, okay? So full self-driving autopilot, it works really good on highways. When you're on highways, you can probably do like 90-95% of the driving without really intervening with the car. It does everything for you, even exits the highway if you're navigating on autopilot. But there are a few quirks here and there which you'll come across. But I think for the most part, highway driving is pretty much there for full autonomy. It's really good for longer trips. So like when I drove 500 kilometers, for example, over the last week, it really reduced the amount of stress because you're not constantly having to pay 100% attention on the road. You can't take your eyes off the road for a second. It really just helps ease you. It reduces stress. It makes the experience much more enjoyable and much more relaxing, at least from my perspective. Now, keep in mind, I also purchased the full self-driving package on my car, so it has a few extra features like lane changes and that kind of stuff, which I think is great. I really like using that as well on the highway. So overall, I think the highway experience for the full self-driving autopilot, navigate autopilot, all that stuff is great. Now, Tesla says you still have to pay attention, and I think that's more for liability reasons. You should still be paying attention while driving. But trust me guys, once you get comfortable with the car driving itself on these highways, it's really hard to go back to a regular car. Also, because this is all software, I'm going to continue getting over-the-air updates like every other Tesla car is, and this will just keep improving over time. Okay, enough of the good, let's talk about the bad. We need to address the flaws that I've come across with just about a week or so of ownership of this Model Y. So there are still bugs with the system. Now, there was one big one that I encountered, which I'm sure a lot of people haven't with the car, and since then it has improved, but let me explain. Alright, screen doesn't seem to be responsive. I touch here, it moves that, try to close this, okay, that worked, but now if I try to use the map, it keeps moving this on the side here, it keeps dropping my speed as well. Like, see, pressing the plus button doesn't increase the speed. I don't know what's going on, maybe it's a software glitch, but yeah. I was driving and I noticed whenever I would touch the screen to either, check the map or increase my speed or something like that, it would bug out and click somewhere else on the screen and adjust some other setting. And there was nothing really that I could do to fix this while driving, so I had to go stop and I restarted the computer on that, it does a full reboot. And then after that, everything seemed to have been fine. There was also another bug in terms of the software here, where after a few days of owning it, it just wiped all my settings and everything was reset. So I had to go and configure everything again. Not sure why that happened. I don't know. Weird bugs, but since then, knock on wood, it's been pretty good. I haven't seen those bugs again. So summon in theory is great, and in certain situations is great. However, in my situation, not the best. So I want to use summon to pull my car into my garage. It's pretty tight clearance, there's about maybe half a foot, most a foot on each side of the car. So while it's pulling in, backing up into the garage, I try to summon, reverse it. It'll detect the entrance of the garage, it'll panic, it'll stop, it'll give up.
See, it's at stop here. That's why it doesn't go any further.
Then I have to go, sit in the car, reverse it myself like any other car. I know, right? First world problems. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that even with my customization settings on Summon set to the lowest threshold so that, it still tolerates something really close to it, it does not allow me to just force it to reverse, because I can see there's enough clearance on either side, but the car just thinks that it's too close, it's gonna hit something, and just won't reverse. Now in certain situations, if you have a big enough garage, not really an issue, or if your parking spot's big enough, not an issue. But for some of us that have tighter spots to park in, Tesla, you need to address this. I know there was an auto park garage feature earlier. I can't seem to get that to work on my car. I hope someone out there in the comments section below can give me some tips on fixing this, because trust me, once winter hits, it's gonna be a lifesaver to have this car park itself in the garage so I don't have to go step out and all this kind of stuff, when I know the car is capable, completely capable, because of software, to be able to do this. Now guys, I realize this is kind of a first world problem. It's not really that big of a deal, but it's just something I've experienced thus far and wanted to share with you. Yeah, so kind of going on this whole auto park for the garage thing, Teslas also are supposed to be able to auto park in parking lots, and I've been in parking lots with freshly painted lines, it's clear as day, but the car just would not recognize the lines and would refuse to auto park. Again, first world problem, again, not a big deal, but the software is supposed to be able to do that. It's definitely capable of doing that, but there are these random bugs and situations where it just won't. Okay, so here's the big one, and this is, I think, the most important things to address, because I have a few complaints here and I think that this is going to be the make or break point for Tesla in the future. Like I said, for highways, no complaints really. It does most of the work for you. It works really well. City streets though, that's another story, and I realized Tesla did release the beta for this recently, so there are still things they're working on. But trust me guys, when Elon says that, by the end of this year, you will be able to go from point A to point B without any intervention, I have a very hard time believing that, especially on this version of software, which is the latest release as of today. Now I know he said there's a rewrite which will improve things, and until I try that, I'll kind of step back and just trust Elon on his word. But as the software stands today, not even close. Here are some things that the car cannot do. Can't do roundabouts, can't do dead ends. If there's a traffic light, it's always going to try to stop despite it being green or red, and you have to tap the accelerator to tell it to keep going through. Sometimes this gets pretty frustrating because the car starts braking really hard as it's approaching a green light, and you have to tap the accelerator, which if you tap it too hard, it'll accelerate too hard, and not a great experience. That needs to be worked on. I've also come across situations where you're approaching a stop sign and there's multiple markings on the road to let you know to slow down to that stop sign. And the software bugs out on that. It sees all these lines, it starts braking really hard well before the stop sign, and then as you approach, that's when it starts gradually slowing down. Not a very enjoyable experience, especially for passengers in the car as well. Also, in certain situations, the car just panics. Like, it panics, and it makes you panic as a driver too. You're driving, and if there's a situation where you're kind of in your lane, but the car beside you kind of drifts a little bit, maybe one of the wheels gets on like the lane line, the dash lines, the car panics and brakes, and it brakes hard in certain situations, and you're completely not expecting that because there's enough space in your lane to still safely pass that vehicle. Now, this could be a pretty big issue because not only do you get a sudden jerk forward and that could cause some injury, but you also have the possibility of the person behind you rear-ending you if they're following too closely. Yes, I know they're not supposed to follow that closely, but if you brake really hard on a road that's fairly open, I think there's a very significant chance you could get rear-ended in that situation. So I think because of all these issues with, city driving, Tesla still has a long way to go, and I'm hoping the rewrite for the Autopilot addresses all of this. And Elon, if you're watching, or anyone at Tesla, if you're watching, please send me that update because I would love to be one of the private beta testers, or just beta tester in general, of the new rewrite. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope these issues are addressed. Now guys, I think that for the average person, the technology in here can be overwhelming, especially if you're using it on city streets. On highways, I think you can get pretty used to it, pretty comfortable with it, no issues. But if you're using it on city streets where you have constant traffic lights, stop signs, lane changes, all that kind of stuff, it can definitely get overwhelming, and as it stands today, I would not feel comfortable going from point A to point B in full self-driving mode. But now here's the thing, all the issues I've talked about, if you've noticed, have been software related. The benefit of that is that these can, and I think will be, improved over time because these are bugs and issues that the Tesla team has to work out and improve, and then just push that over the air, and then your car is fixed. Now there are other issues which I want to discuss in another video around quality control, and I have a lot to say about that as well, so stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't, because I will be releasing that video soon as well. But that issue aside, I think what Tesla really needs to double down on is improving this software even more. I know they've been doing a great job on it. I know they've been, full steam ahead. They're way ahead of any competition. But we all hold Tesla to a very high standard, especially as investors. And up until owning this car, I was under the impression that this car could do pretty much anything. But now real world experiences have made me question that, and have made me see, okay, Tesla is still having a lot of issues with their software. They still have a lot of bugs they need to work out, and I am optimistic on them fixing it, and I do hope to continue to see updates that address these issues one by one in the near future. But guys, despite all these flaws, I'm still loving the car. The driving experience of it is amazing. Performance, like I said, amazing. Technology, amazing. It's just a great car, the best car I've ever owned. And like I said, it's very hard to think that I could ever go back to a gas car. Anyways guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I know I am biased when it comes to Tesla, but I hope I gave you a good perspective here on the good and bad of this car, this company, the software that they're working on, and hopefully Tesla sees this, they address this, and it makes us as investors much more confident in holding the stock and buying more shares in the company. Either way, thank you so much for sticking around. If you did, comment down below what your favorite Tesla model is. Love to hear from you guys in the comment section. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.